open the door. Stay the hell away from me, Edwards. I'm not your damn protege anymore. I said get out.
Oh, the hell, man.
Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Now I'm seeing things. The crash really did one on me.
When it comes to thrills, horror games have the pedigree to get the job done. Insomniac Games' first title for the Oculus Rift does exactly that. This third-person action horror game brings the genre to VR, all while delivering an immersive storyline and psychological mind bend that'll keep you second-guessing about what's happening to your character. Hey guys, John V here with VR Source, and this is our review of Edge of Nowhere. Now what makes this game so great is its storytelling. It's probably the best thing about the game. The story has us taking control of our character, Victor Howard, who crash lands in Antarctica to find his fiancée, who's part of this expedition. Now, in his search, Victor ends up realizing that things aren't quite alright at the camp where the folks on this expedition were last located at. And that's when things really start to go crazy. First, apparitions of people he knows begin to mess with his head, ultimately leading to the confrontation of this alien race. Without spoiling all of the story, the game relies on a lot of flashbacks to fill us in about Victor's relationship with his fiancée and why they're on this expedition in the first place. This alien race seems to have a way of affecting his mind, which ultimately leads him to question his reality. During the initial scenes, the third-person perspective felt a bit jarring. Lateral movements in particular seemed to make me feel a bit queasy, but I'd say that it went away quickly, and that's a good thing. Controlling a character is similar to any other third-person game out there, since the perspective is fixed right behind our character. The VR experience is weak in my opinion, which is a shame, since it's only used to look around. In some scenes, we switch to a first-person perspective, but besides that, there's nothing much to it. One annoyance that I have is how it's almost impossible to move backwards, especially when you're being overrun by monsters. Because the camera remains fixed behind a character, it never moves around to the other side when you're trying to run back, so you end up colliding with something that gets in your way, or you end up dying. Besides that, we do enjoy some of the action, which reminds us of some of the elaborate scenes in games like Uncharted. The ice cracks beneath you, and next thing you know it, you're sliding and then being hurled towards an ice wall. Being in VR, things get pretty intense during some of the scenes. You'll get those moments when you're scared straight by those sudden surprises as something comes out of nowhere, and there's a bunch of them. The monsters, or aliens in this case, vary throughout the game. Most of the time you can use your melee weapon to dispose of the weaker ones, but others require stealth and rock throwing. Yes, you heard that right. Sure, you could use your rifle to blast them away, but ammo is in short supply with this game. So throwing rocks to distract enemies is something that happens quite frequently. Boss battles are shockingly simple since they rotate their attacks, so once you establish the pattern, they're quickly disposed of. And that's the thing about the game. First of all, there isn't much variety with the enemies and weapons, and secondly, it's an easy game to beat. In fact, I managed to finish it in under 5 hours. The visuals are pretty good, given the limited selection of top-tier titles that are out for the Rift. Great use of shadows give the game that eerie feeling, making you want to proceed with caution so you're not scared out of your wits. Most of the game happens in the frigid tundra, so you're going to see a whole lot of white in the game, and penguins. But even in some of the flashback scenes, which transport you to the jungle and ports of a city, the game does a pretty nice job of replicating them to fit the mood of the game. Edge of Nowhere is a fun game, but my biggest complaint is that it's incredibly short. Plus, it doesn't have a whole lot of variety with weapons or enemies. As for the VR element, the Oculus Rift isn't really being utilized to its full potential. It's very much in the same vein as your typical third-person action game. Well, you have the freedom in looking around the environment, but that's about it. Most exclusive titles for the Oculus Rift are priced at $60, so the $40 cost for Edge of Nowhere seems forgiving enough to check out.